Hello everybody, this is Brian, and this screen looks familiar, doesn't it? I wanted to take just a moment to show you the finished product of the strategy that I'm going to write and post about tomorrow, Lord willing. So it's this activity, Learning Activity 10, Strategies, just to remind myself of the directions. Look at here, Jennifer and Courtney both turning in their homework early. Good job. You guys must have hot dates on Friday night. Good for you. Good for you. Oh, I wish I had a hot date tomorrow night. Anyway, I will be working on this. Anyway, so using a source other than the textbook, research some strategies for teaching vocabulary. So that's what I'm going to show you now is my strategy. One of the sources I used was this one, Education Week Teacher. And one of the ideas that's discussed in this article, skits. I love skits, even though I'm a very shy person and almost have a heart attack walking out on a stage. I almost have a heart attack walking into the classroom in front of all of these people. But skits are always fun and very memorable, and so I like to use skits and role plays as much as possible. And in my upper level intermediate writing class for ESL students, that's exactly what we did a week ago today. We did this lesson. Let's see, there it is. The lesson is actually called Using Quotations to Narrate, Learning Dialogue Tags Through Drama. This lesson is part of a packet or a unit for narrative essays. My class just finished a packet on descriptive essay writing, and in descriptive essays they worked really hard to improve their adjective vocabulary. They did a great job, and now we're building on that with the narrative essay, and specifically I'm targeting dialogue tags. Like in the descriptive essay I targeted adjectives, here dialogue tags. And what do I mean by dialogue tags? Anytime we have a quotation, it's followed by said the president or asked the teenager. So words like said, asked, those are dialogue tags. And for my students, intermediate ESL students, asked and said are just about the only dialogue tags they know. So this is a wonderful lesson for them. They get really excited at being able to increase their vocabulary and to do it in a fun way and in a memorable way, using gestures and drama and different voices and getting up and moving and all of these great things that we learned in teaching with the brain and mind. All of these great strategies really help them develop long-term memory for increasing their vocabulary. Also, just one more thing to mention on this front page, as a resource for the students, I put in this link for Longman's Dictionary of Contemporary English online. It's the best dictionary I've found. If you guys know of any better dictionaries, I'd love to hear about them. But the definitions here are super simple and very friendly for ESL students. So Longman's Dictionary of Contemporary English. All right, let me show you the first slide. And by the way, what we're looking at is a Google presentation, which operates just like PowerPoint, except I think it's much more user-friendly. I'm not very technologically savvy, so I like easy, and this is super easy. Like this artwork here, I think in PowerPoint, the formatting, just everything would have taken me forever. This was click, click, and it's done. It was amazing. So Google presentation, which then I can share with all of my students. I have 18 students in my writing class, and much like the Google document that I know group 1 and I think group 2 also did, maybe group 3, maybe all 3 use Google Docs. But in that same way, students can share this presentation and work on this presentation together. So in my class of 18, I put them into groups of 3 and divided up all of the dialogue tags. There's about 51 of these. I'll go ahead and show you the list over here. All the slides. You can see lots of dialogue tags along the left side. Now 50 is way too many to tackle initially. That would be overwhelming. So one of the articles I read mentioned between 8 and 15 vocabulary words. So with my group, with my students, they're working 3 in a group, and each group has 8 of these dialogue tags. So we have 6 groups because there's 18 students, and 6 times 8 is 48. So that leaves 2 or 3 of these dialogue tags left over, which I use one of them in the beginning, and then the other 2 I could dispense to a group maybe that is a little upper level and they want more challenge. So the first thing I do in the presentation, actually before this, I do a little warm-up to get them thinking about why dialogue tags are important. I was Presbyterian for a long time, and Presbyterians are real big on why. Why do we do this? So what? And that's a very important question. And so for me, I think understanding why is super motivating. So for them, I talked about the importance of meaning in dialogue tags. And for my example, I just wrote on the board quotation marks, and inside those quotation marks, "Where's Rachel, comma, asked Batman, question mark." And I when I wrote it on the board, underneath it I also wrote in quotation marks the exact same words, but I changed the dialogue tag. I changed it from asked to bellowed. Now, if any of you have seen the Batman, I think it's in Dark Knight Rises, or maybe I get them confused. Christian Bale is playing Batman, and he's lost his childhood friend. I don't know if they're boyfriend, girlfriend, or what, but anyway, so someone's kidnapped her, and he captures the bad guy and has him in his grip and looks at him and says, "Where's Rachel?" Now on the board, and of course my students are all big moviegoers, so they know this movie, they know the scene I'm talking about. On the board it says, "Where's Rachel?" asked Batman. I said, if you had not seen the movie and you were reading this in a book, you need meaning to help you understand how this quotation was said. And so if your book says, "Where's Rachel?" asked Batman, then in your mind and your head, you're going to hear something like this. And I imitated my best Christian Bale as Batman, saying, "Where's Rachel?" asked Batman. And of course, they kind of smiled at that because that is not what Batman does in the movie. But if the dialogue tag is simply asked, that's probably what it sounded like. "Where's Rachel?" asked Batman. So below that, of course, we have what actually happened in the movie using the dialogue tag bellowed. And so I did my Batman voice for them for the second one. And are you ready? I'll do it for you. Don't let it scare you. "Where's Rachel?" bellowed Batman. And of course, my students all jumped and laughed, and they loved it and said, "Do it again, teacher, do it again." And so anyway, have a lot of fun. So that's a great way to start out the lesson, is people are laughing, smiling, and they understand the importance of why we're going to study this new vocabulary. They see that meaning is injected into something as simple as a dialogue tag. So show them this big screen, and then I give them the finished product, what I want them to be working on in their groups of 3. So during this time, and we're in a computer lab, so you may not have access to a computer lab. Maybe you have Chromebooks or iPads you can distribute. Maybe, I don't know. But this is definitely involving technology, so they would need to have access to that. Step 1, they get a word only, the dialogue tag only. They have a scene and a sentence. So step 1 is getting the definition, step 2, creating a scene, and step 3, writing an actual quotation. So the finished product is with the word acknowledge. Of course, none of my students knew that word, acknowledge. And if somebody in the group of 3 knows the word, they can use their own definition. But if they don't, then they have that link to the simple definition in the Longman Dictionary. So here, step 1, acknowledge, to accept that something is true, even if undesirable. They type in that definition. Step 2, they have to create a scene. So they have to describe a scene in 3 or 4 sentences, enough information to make it clear to the class what's happening, what's going on. So this particular scene, a star athlete receives rewards from his team and praise from his fans. However, he is injured in a car accident. The doctor tells him he will be okay, but his broken leg will never be the same. He won't be able to play sports again. So of course this scene is very supportive of this meaning, to accept something as true even if undesirable. This scene is definitely undesirable. So I point that out to the students. And then I say, for step 3, you guys are going to work together and create an actual quotation. Now in the packet that they have, there's some explicit information on how to write this, because it is a writing class. So they're also practicing open quotations, commas inside of closed quotations. They're learning how to split a quotation. They're making sure commas are on the outside of a closed quotation. So all of this they will practice later, and I will become more and more picky as we get closer to their final draft. But by the time they get there, they really don't need me. They've learned it on their own. But starting out, I think meaning, understanding is super important. So if they make mistakes here, I don't even point it out, because my goal for this lesson is meaning, understanding. If they have meaning, the motivation will keep going. If they don't have meaning, all of that motivation that was built early on, gone. So that's my plan here, and why I ignore mistakes that you will see later. So 3 steps: definition, create a scene, and create a sentence. Now I tell them that there is a 4th step, but the 4th step is not for today. The 4th step is for next class. In the next class, their job is going to be to take this sentence and inject it into a skit, which they will act in front of the class. I encourage them to bring props. I bring props, anything that will help them tell their story. And they have about 60 seconds to communicate this, one word, to the class. Now, if you remember, I said 18 students, groups of 3, so there's 6 groups. They each get 8 words, because we have 51 different words, from acknowledge all the way down to yell. So each group has 8 words. I asked them to choose 4 of those 8 words to act in a skit. So that way they get to pick the 4 they feel the most confident about, or they have fun with. Plus, allowing students to self-select. Krashen has a lot of information on this. Allowing students to self-select gives them some ownership, some pride, and it just gives them, I don't know, they just seem to enjoy it more. So that's the template. You can see I called it a template. And when I share this with you, I encourage you to do exactly what I did, which is leave one copy as a template. So all of these are blank, because remember that you're going to share this document. Students are going to start changing it, and they may, they will, there's no may, they will make a huge mess of it. So to save yourself some time and energy and headache, what I would do is create a template which is for you, and then make copies from this. So you just simply go to File, make a copy. Now when you make a copy, I'll show you one that I've already made. This is for the class that just finished this activity. I renamed the copy Spring A, which is the name of this class. We're on a quarter system, and it's called Spring A. And this is one that now they can manipulate, destroy, and it's no problem because you always have your template that you can quickly access. And there's really nothing that they can do permanently wrong, but it just saves you time. So let me show you a couple of words that they actually did. This word, mutter. Of course, none of my students knew the word mutter. And this particular group was a Korean guy and a Japanese girl and a Chinese girl. And turns out the Japanese girl is a very good singer. That's another great thing about doing drama and skits. You find out things about people's personality that you wouldn't normally know. So they have the word mutter. They give a great definition for it. The scene's a little bit short. So they actually, when they did their skit, gave some more information, but they didn't actually write it in the slide. Anna said to Elsa, should be, and remember, I'm not going to correct that or point that out at all, because today we're just going for meaning, helping them understand mutter. That's the goal. And if you recognize these names, you recognize Frozen, that it's from the movie Frozen, and the Japanese girl sang this, "I never see you anymore, come out of the door. I'll spare you my singing voice." And it was really lovely, really nice. And this, everyone in the class is smiling. And then the Chinese girl says, "I have special power," she muttered. And everyone smiled and laughed, but she really didn't do it the right way. So even though I'm not correcting grammar stuff in this space here and different things, I am going to make sure that we're getting our objective, which is meaning. So I said, "Oh, you guys did such a great job. I want you to do it one more time and look at this first part of the definition, low voice, and look at this part, annoyed," which they had to actually look up annoyed. They asked me about that in the lab, to get angry. And I said, "Now, low voice, angry. Now try and say it." And the Chinese girl actually knew she had made the mistake. She had practiced it, but she was, nervous standing in front of her classmates, and so she didn't do it the practiced way. So she's like, "Oh, I know, teacher." And so they did it again. She's saying, "I never see you anymore, come out of the door." And then the Chinese girl says, "I have special power," she muttered, and just did a great job. A lot of fun. I'll show you one more real fast. Screech. A lot of these dialogue tags, a lot of them are sounds that animals make. So the students really love having fun with that. I can imagine this would be super enjoyable for younger kids. So screech is, of course, the sound an owl makes or a hawk. And this team acted this out brilliantly. And she said, "No, don't!" And had explained earlier that screech comes from like an owl and had imitated the owl sound. And it was just a super fun lesson. Anyway, that's learning vocabulary. And I think that's all I needed to share. I will share this document with you guys, and you can have fun with it too. Thank you very much.